Welcome everybody once again to Deep Web3 Secrets. I am here today with the Bookerman of Wrestling Online Organization. I think I said that in the wrong order. Wrestling Organization Online. And Bookerman, how you doing today?
I am doing well. I always like hearing how people say the woo. Sometimes you'll get the Wrestling Online Organization. Sometimes you'll get Wrestling Organization Online. Otherwise, all you need to know is woo is where wrestling lives on Hive.
Woo! And one of the cool things about woo is it actually touches on a real deep issue, a real world problem, which is that wrestlers are independent contractors and often don't receive any benefits from the media organizations that they live to represent. Can you just touch a little bit on how Woo was put together to help that real world problem?
Yeah, well, how we came up with Woo is I've been friends with Perry Saturn, a wrestler that I've been interested in for many years. Actually, let me go all the way back. Let me go all the way back to the beginning. So, I'm actually legally blind in my right eye. When I was a child, I jumped off a hay bale, and a piece of clothesline wire went in and out of my eye and detached my retina in my right eye. There's a small part of my eye that has vision, and so my right eye has to go up and over to the right to get the best possible vision. And so my brain actually would move my eye. I was badly cross-eyed because it was trying to get me the best possible vision. And so I grew up with that injury, being cross-eyed as a kid. And I remember watching television, and anytime I saw Perry Saturn make his entrance, I felt connected to him. I felt like this is a person I can relate to, and if he can make it happen, I'm just fine too. I'll be just fine. And that was when I was a child. And then fast forward all these years later, with my production company, I responded to a Facebook comment where Perry Saturn was looking to make a little additional money because of all the injuries he sustained and really everything. And I responded to that Facebook comment. We got together, became very good friends. And I started working on ideas of what we can do to start helping people like Perry, but also others. And that's where Wrestling Organization Online came to fruition. I was playing Splinterlands at the time. I saw that Hive was a great blockchain, fast and feeless. And Splinterlands kind of had a roadmap, essentially, that we could follow and try to build this, which we have now built into Wrestling Organization Online, where we give back to wrestlers. Again, you said they are independent contractors, which is true. No health insurance, no life insurance, no retirement, no pension. And a lot of times they get used and abused, thrown to the wayside, and they're no longer able to earn off of it, off of their likeness, off of without taking bumps and putting more stress on their body. And so we came up with this digital card game where we would share percent of profits with our partnered wrestlers, as well as give them 100% of the market fee for NFT transactions. So that's basically the long and short, the entire history of Woo. Woo was essentially created to, try to help out Perry Saturn and others.
Amazing. Okay, so one thing that I love is connecting these new technologies into the real world. And so not only have you used Hive to help wrestlers, and you're continuing to do that, but also, the Wrestling Organization Online helps Hive. You guys run a validator node, the Woo engine for Hive engine, as well as the Wrestling Organization Online Hive Witness node. Do you want to talk anything about this two-way street, about how we're benefiting the blockchain and the blockchain is benefiting the wrestlers?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to put in some links here. I know you're going to hate the Hive signer, but that's for our Wrestling Organization Online Witness, which is the Um, uh, and I got actually both of them here. That's the witness. I also have, here we go. This is for the high.
Oh, I think we lost Booker here for a second. Oh my gosh, Booker got banned. This is what happens to wrestlers too. Okay, they work so hard, they get everything set up, and as soon as it's convenient, banned. You're banned. No life insurance, no health insurance. Good luck out there, buddy. Oh, Kasim, he's literally banned. Can you unban him so he can accept the invite? We're working
I did not even.
I think maybe. Booker's back. Booker's back, everybody. It was because of all the links he was sharing. We're on vote.hive.
You guys, you get away from me, didn't you? You thought you could get me out of this Discord. No, sirree, here I am.
You thought you could ban me, but I'm back and better than ever. Oh, Booker, it was such a wrestling move right there. Like, I was just saying, like, this is what happens to the wrestlers. They work hard, they do everything, they show up, and then when it's just, they least expect it, banned. No health insurance, no life insurance, no benefits. Good luck out there. And so I thought it was quite appropriate. I'm going to share a link. Let's see if the host gets banned. Let me do this for you, Booker. Thanks to CA Dog. And it's a great link. You can use Keychain. There is also a Hive Signer button automatically on the site. But the vote.hive.uno is a great tool for sharing and shilling our Hive validators. Okay, so do you just want to say a few words about how you felt out there in the snow alone, not being able to get into the event?
Yeah, after trying to shill my witnesses, I felt the wrath of the ban bot. It came after me with such force. I was thrown out on the streets, on the corners, the dirty roads, broken windows, homes falling apart. I looked around and I said, you know what? I can do something with this. I can make it into something great. So I got my team together. And we started putting witness nodes together. We had the Wrestling Organization Online witness node for Hive, validating blocks, top 70 witness. Then we had our Woo engine. That Woo engine came out of nowhere. It came to the Hive engine ecosystem. And we are there now. We are in it. We are in it to win it. We are validating blocks and continuing this Web3 legacy.
Fantastic. No, this is what I love about wrestling. And we on Hive, we talk a lot about marketing and onboarding. And I was recently in Guadalajara, and, one of the things I said is our technical, even philosophical marketing, like, we believe in it, but we need a Latin American spark of life, And so wrestling, I think, is an American spark of life, and it is theater. It's a beautiful theater, and it's an American pastime, and I just think it fits so well. There's win-wins here that we can seek to achieve, and you actually went out into the real world of WrestleCon recently. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience at WrestleCon?
Yeah, it was actually a great experience. This is our technically our third year at WrestleCon. We went to WrestleCon Los Angeles. We went to WrestleCon Philly. And now this last year, just recently, we were at WrestleCon Las Vegas. These are the biggest wrestling conventions in the world, and they're held yearly alongside WrestleMania. We were there with Perry Saturn, having a great time. I mean, the only thing is about Las Vegas is everything is so expensive. It blows my mind. $21 for 3 chicken tenders and a Sprite. That's wild to me. But it was a good time. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of promoting not only the talent we were there with, but also the game and the blockchain itself. One thing we did to cap off the weekend was we gave away free signed merchandise, and all you had to do was take a picture with the Hive Community Championship belt. We'll post it on social media, get some information from you to set up a Hive account for you, and then we also reached out to them after the event to remind them about hey, you can blog on Hive. If you do that and send us a link, we'll mail you some other physical merchandise signed by some of our talented partners. So I was really stoked with that. I want to do a lot more with that. I also want to do a lot more with giving incentives and making it easy for people to pay with HBD live at the event, being able to onboard them for a Hive account, get them some HBD to that account so that they could then use it with a easy tap to pay method to actually get them spending HBD and to receive a discount on the physical merchandise at the location.
I love this so much. That's one of the big things we were doing in Guadalajara. We were kind of testing, or in production testing, the Distriator. And Distriator is such a powerful new application, or newish application, and seeing it in action and then hearing your idea about integrating HBD into live events. Such an American pastime. WrestleMania. Okay, I don't know what that's probably taken the brand, but we, Bookerman. What is our wrestling event? If we did if we did a Hive event with wrestling involved, what would we name it? Would it be Woo Presents? What would be the name of the event?
So you could have so many different event names. The possibilities are really endless. If you wanted just a general one, we could come up with that. But I like to keep them localized to the area. For example, like if you were in, I don't know. For example, if you're in the oil field area of the Bakken formation, beat down at the Bakken, bash at the Bakken would be a good one. Yeah, there's so many different names you could do. I like to keep it, like I said, the local flavor. So wherever you were actually going to be, I would say kind of cater the name to that. But if you're just doing like a wrestling organization online Hive wrestling event, yeah, I would say it would be named towards that. Live or die for Hive.
Live or die for Hive. Cage match. So one thing I just imagined, we have some drama on the chain every once in a while, and maybe it is even the case that people don't like drama, but like if there wasn't any drama, would we still be around? Would we have anything to talk about? So I would just imagine it's like, two different curators that are using different curation methods, and maybe they themselves will get in the ring, but man, I would wear a paper mache head. You know what I mean? I would put a head on and just kind of like wrestle it out in the ring about, no, we're about KE ratio and we're about human curation. And I think a little bit of theater, a little bit of wrestling in our lives would go a long way.
Yeah, for sure. And I would want it. So we've thought about doing it between Hive app brands. We've thought about doing it between like cross chain stuff. Like for example, you could have I'm just trying to think, like you could have like an InLeo sponsored wrestler, and you could have a Peak D sponsored wrestler, for example. You could have block trades, like the $1 Million Man hiring the biggest, baddest wrestler, and you would have Acid Yo on the other end, backing his wrestler. You would have Kitty Girl. I have a feeling we would have to. Actually, I know a perfect cat-related wrestler that I know Kitty Girl would want to back. I feel like, but yeah, we could definitely do that. I would love to see that. I would love to see these actual brands on Hive backing specific wrestlers for matches, and have actually a big gimmick behind it. You could have, before the event, you could have the different communities or the different curators or whoever really playing into it, which would be a lot of fun, and it would be a whole new unique opportunity that most people wouldn't have.
Fantastic. And we got a lot of good ideas there, and I look forward to keep working through these ideas and maybe even putting some into practice. Now, at WrestleCon, it's my understanding that you onboarded dozens and dozens of people to Hive. How's that going? How did it go, and how's it going now?
Yeah, it was either 107 or 117 users, and we used OCDB's referral system for this, because it was really easy to use. It also had tracking, which we wanted, and also gave a referral beneficiary for the account. So we went through and actually used Acid Yo's OCDB verifier and recruit mechanism. We actually kind of pushed it to its limits. It was fun to see how that worked out. But yeah, I want to say it was 107 or 117 users. We've had a few users actually write some posts in our community, and we've been reaching out to them again, the rest of the users, because we captured emails. So the way we did this, just to make it really easy, because we found out in WrestleCon Philly, people are really sketched out about scanning a QR code. I don't know what it is. Like, QR codes, I love them. I think they're easy. But yes, we've noticed that QR codes actually, when it leads you to a link to sign up for something, they get really sketched out about it, especially if they have to download keys, which are, just a TXT file or whatever. We just noticed that was a thing. So we did basic onboarding this way, where people just leave an email, choose from what they would want their usernames to be, and then we actually emailed them, showed them how they could securely get their keys, and then go from there, because it was way easier to gather emails.
That's really smart, and it's funny, any way you go about this, somebody's going to be weirded out by it. And it's just a reality that tech is weird. And, it's true that there are scammy QR codes, especially now. Oh, it wants me to download something? What's going on? There was recently some hacks related to QR codes. QR code is nothing more than a link, but it's designed like it bypasses your brain's need to look at the link. So you really should. The best practice is to load the QR code, see the link, make sure it doesn't look like a scammy link. And so, yeah, it could be all sorts of things. QR codes are links, and links can be anything, including malicious. And so it makes total sense. It's very interesting. And so as we get more into this techie onboarding, I think it's more important than ever that we have multiple ways, multiple strategies, and we can keep iterating and testing which audiences respond better to different onboarding methods. Because obviously, getting a wallet, getting an account is a little bit of a process. We want to make it easier. We want to make it every time less clicks. But at the same time, if we jump over the steps and freak people out, it's kind of like if you're selling NFTs. A lot of people just run the other direction now. Like, you could even I want to give you NFTs. And they say, well, nope, free NFTs, that's a red flag, right? Because there was some cases on Wax where a free NFT was actually phishing your wallet. So there's all sorts of crazy stuff. Let's try another post. I have a question for you, just a quick one here. How have you balanced the needs of running a company and logistics and events with the real necessity to keep writing posts? You seem to be a pretty prolific author. Is that coming back to your days of running a production company, or how do you stay up with all these great posts you're writing?
So it's a lot of various mechanisms. I enjoy it myself, so I can sit down and do it. A lot of it we have a pretty solid, decent sized team, so we can hand things off to other people, to get things going and get things done. But yeah, that's it. It is a balance. There's a lot going on. It's always funny when I hear like, oh, you know, people don't think I go to work, like that's, because I'm not leaving and going to an office, so people just assume that like I don't do anything, which is way not the truth. The amount of meetings I have to sit in a given day is ridiculous. The amount of the time you have to spend either messaging people or talking to people physically, guiding a team and going back and forth, relaying information. There is so much that goes into it that a lot of people don't see. So you do have to make time for all the different balancing acts, and writing posts, especially to keep the community up to date on what's going on, is incredibly important.
Absolutely. I suffer from that a little bit. I even got to taking my whole computer setup and taking it across the farm, and I set up in an outside office when the weather permits, so that everybody can see, oh, he's over there at work, instead of like in my house, like in like I haven't moved all day. It's funny, digital stuff. But you seem to do pretty good at it. So you're onboarding 107 or more users at WrestleCon. You're following up with them. You've got emails, which I actually have been using email a lot too. I think it's a classic method, tried and true. You still might end up in the spam mailbox, but at least you got something, right, to connect back with them. What are the next steps? Like, what do you hope to do with these 100 users? Is it to find curators on Hive to help you upvote them? Or is it to form together into a cult and make some sort of changes? Or what's the plan here?
So my overarching thing with it is, I go back. I have a long history as a salesman too, and not just like, here, let me sell you crap. When you're a good salesman, you recognize the need and the value that giving a solution to them does. And so Hive as a platform to blog on, that's so much better than, like, the Woo Games community is so much better than R Squared Circle, for example, the biggest wrestling related subreddit. It's so much better as a platform where you can earn off of it. You don't have to worry about mods banning you. You don't have to worry about your content being deleted. You don't have to worry about any of that. There's so much value that Hive brings as a platform. So the biggest thing is just showing them that. Showing them, like, hey, you can come here and talk about things and have a conversation about wrestling, about photography, about food, about quilting, about anything. You can have those conversations already. And so just come here and do that. It's more to show them a valuable thing than to get them to be in my community, interact with just me. Don't think about anything else. Give us, buy Hive and then delegate it to us. I mean, that would be nice if they bought Hive and delegated it to us. Cool. That would be awesome. But that's not the overall goal. The overall goal is to show just the average person that is already interested in a fandom, showing them Hive has value to them. So that's the big thing that I'm thinking of when I'm onboarding people onto Hive. Yeah, I would love to get them to hop on and play Woo, and if they have a Hive account and they like trading card games, especially digital ones, boom, they can come on in and play some Woo. But again, the biggest thing is just showing them the value of Hive.
Fantastic. Yeah, and so I'm came from more of the ecological space. I started like a homesteading permaculture farm, and I spent many years trying to get my website, my WordPress site up, and when I found this technology, I was like, this is great. I can really host my own content without paying anything. In fact, I might even earn a couple pennies from doing this. And as social media has advanced, so important to build a brand in this world. But Hive is always the backbone of that. That's where I actually own the content. I've got a blockchain receipt that this was my content before I go out and share it on Twitter or Reddit. And so I think the package that Hive gives us is powerful, especially for people with, some sort of, wrestlers have some sort of star power, whether it's big or little. And wrestling fans, man, they love stuff. They love action. They love seeing things. And so I think it's kind of a ready-made package for a win-win situation. Now, let's get back to the actual wrestlers. We mentioned Perry Saturn, and I love Perry. I mean, just personally, Perry's been like a hero of mine. Low-key, when I was a kid, wrestling was very important. I'm from the Midwest, and I was a wrestler in high school, Olympic wrestling, folk style. But, there were stories being told in the wrestling, and I differentiate wrestling with wrestling, but it's really in the mind of the cultural American. I think it kind of goes hand in hand. And some people say wrestling's fake, and and I love that clip. Who was it that gave that open-handed slap and said, "Yeah, it's fake. I could have punched you in the face, but it was an open-handed slap." And the reporter's rolling on the ground. Oh my gosh!
Good old David Schultz.
David Schultz. You gotta love it, man. Because but. A lot of things in life are fake if you get really specific about it, but that doesn't mean that true things can't be told in that medium. Let's get back to the wrestlers. How many have you reached out to? Are they interested in this, what you're doing with the wrestling organization online? How have they responded to your efforts to kind of build a union, a digital union, so to speak?
Yeah, so we're partnered with 10 different wrestlers: Perry Saturn, Raven, Terry Runnels, Sabu, many others, Tajiri, just to name a few. We've had some of them write blogs on the platform. Some have written more than others. All of them have been paid through the platform. They all have accounts set up on the platform if they want to use them. For example, like Sonny Ono, he's had, I think, 1,000 HBD in HBD savings for over a year now. So, and he's been collecting his APR. He loves it. He's totally happy with what he's earning off of that $1,000 compared to, what was originally put in. But so that's been cool. But yeah, they all have very different views on it because they all have different views on cryptocurrency. For example, some of them appreciate some things more than others. For example, like Perry loves how quick it is. And he loves, actually, he thinks it's really cool. He sees it more like fan letters and stuff like that. Back in the day, you would have the magazines where you would have people basically write into the magazine and have their question answered in the magazine. So he sees it a lot like that. Mikey Whipwreck, for example, sees it a lot more like fan interaction, like he would Twitter. Same with Just Incredible. He's done more of the micro blogging, which he appreciated more. Sonny Ono, the businessman himself, he sees it more, as the money side of it, APRs, not having to pay for card fees or transaction fees. He sees the value in that. But I think that just speaks to all different Hivians, even our wrestlers. The way they interact with Hive or what they value in Hive is different from everyone. Again, some people might, want to blog. Some people might just want to use it as a currency. And we want to be kind of in the middle just with all that. We want to appease all of those different types of Hivians. and that's going to be, we're going to be talking about a little more of that with that upcoming proposal. But yeah, that's kind of how all the different wrestlers interact with the chain.
Fantastic. Yes. Well, you see the breadth of the technology uses, and I really love that, how they each see kind of a different benefit to it, or connect deeply with a different benefit. That's fantastic. Well, why don't we just go right on down? Come on down, Bookerman. You gonna do a proposal? Well, tell me all about it. What's going on in your head? What is next for Wrestling Organization Online? And how does this relate to this word proposal? What are you gonna propose to me, Bookerman?
So I have been watching proposals from afar for a number of years now. At least 3 years I've been looking at them, kind of seeing the conversation about them, seeing how they work and everything like that. And we have never put out a proposal, but we have gotten DHF funding through, for example, Value Plan for various things. And so, and I know there's been some drama, with Value Plan, how they account for things. So I want to do the thing that I do best. And that is just jump in deep and try to do things the right way. Like seeing how things are done. Okay, let's show a good example. Same with Woo. How Web3 and NFTs can be used in this good thing. And so what we want to do is we want to draft a proposal, and we want to actually have the payouts go to Value Plan. So we want this proposal to essentially be on the DHF, and it doesn't get paid out to RestOrg Online. We would actually propose something to be used for Value Plan that is outside of Value Plan's budget for that year. So now people can have a vote on what Value Plan kind of interacts with. So we could put a proposal up. For example, we would do Hive WrestleFest. And what we want to do with this is we want to actually use a wrestling show essentially as a commercial for Hive. Because if you think about it, if you go to a convention and you go to, speakers, keynote speakers, let's be honest, dude, no one's watching that keynote speaker again. Maybe you'll watch it a second time, but you're not sitting there, 6 months down the line going back and watching a thing. So we want to do something that has the ability to be rewatched, which is a live produced wrestling show, produce like a pay-per-view style version of it. So then you have this commercial that people are willing to rewatch. You have Hive branding all over the ring. You have D-App sponsored wrestlers. You have the Hive Community Championship belt on the line. You have pre-show. You have post-show. You have conferences. A lot of different content you can film. But this is where I think the angle gets interesting. Like we were talking about earlier, how there's different people that interact with Hive. Some people want to write and blog. Some people want to play games. Some people want to use it just for the currency. They just want to come on, have cheap, no transaction fee ways to pay that they're in control of. A lot of people would just like that. So what we want to do is we want to have a hybrid wrestling show Hive meetup, essentially, where you can educate people before the wrestling event and then get them into the wrestling event, give them an NFC card. So you do a free admission show. Everyone that can possibly be there that wants to go there can go. You give them an NFC tap card with 5 HBD preloaded on it. It has a Hive account, everything ready to go. They walk over to the vendor shop. Now they can get a beer or a hot dog or a hamburger. Just tap to pay with that NFC card, and they get a free meal. So, for example, a single mom with 2 kids comes on to a wrestling show, comes in, goes and gets a hamburger for her and her kids, no cost. Now they can eat and watch the wrestling show. And that is a real person that really bought something with real money, not internet fake imaginary money. That would be huge, showing, hundreds or thousands of Americans how easy it is. And not only that, you have the vendors. But the cool thing is, since we would be the vendors for the concessions, that $5 HBD, that 5 HBD would be coming back to us, and we could refund that back to the DHF. So it just shows money moving hands, and it shows a transaction. And the best thing is it educates the person to be able to actually use this cryptocurrency in a real transaction to get a real tangible thing.
Okay, this is
now
amazing.
We use Distriator.
Hold on a second.
Oh, go ahead.
There's so many details here. I want to jump in. But this is the most wrestling idea I've ever heard. You've taken an event, you've turned it completely inside out. You've made it an amazing piece of theater, and the idea is to really record it all and create content, not only the main stage content, which is the pay-per-view style you said. So some people might, pay to access it early, but later then we can release it, direct to DVD or, whatever. But so I want to just start because there's some key details here. First, you said you're not asking for the money yourself. You're going to have kind of an advisory commission that already exists, which is in the value plan. And because of some questions in the audience, have you talked to Value Plan about this? Have you talked to Guilty or Crim about this already?
Yeah. Actually, that was one of the reasons, because I love Value Plan. I think it's a great idea. I love the people involved. I've talked to both Crim and Guilty. And I know Crim said that this was an idea she had where it would fix that issue of people not getting a say in what Value Plan does. And I think this would be a good example of showing, hey, this is how we can do this. And again, then we're not getting the money. We'll have an extra layer of accountability. Let's be honest. You guys know me. A lot of you guys know me. Some people, Starkers, I've met personally, and I was with for a long period of time. Not just a couple of minutes. We shared lodging, but this is my first ever proposal. So there is always a trust issue there, on your first proposal, and this gets rid of that completely. This says, hey, there is a whole nother layer of accountability there, and it's not just going to be me taking funding and running. You know what I mean?
Fantastic. So that's like the first unique thing. I've heard talk about this. I've thought about this, but you'd be maybe the first one to really put it into practice. Now, we have an event, and you say, well, how can you have an event if you don't charge people to get in? In fact, you're kind of paying people to come. But, of course, events will have sponsors, right? So have you thought about sponsors? What sort of sponsorship opportunities do you think exist? And let's say my company, the Eco Bank, wants to be a sponsor. What sort of value could you provide for me in relation to the content that you'll be making and the whole experience?
So you can offer sponsorships to, projects on chain and stuff like that. But you could also get sponsorships from the local community. So let me kind of touch on these separately. So the on-chain partnerships, for example, we could have booths set up beforehand. Like I said, this is a merge of a Hive education, Hive meetup with a wrestling event. So it's really merging those two. So you could have an InLeo booth in there. We could have a VSC booth in there. You could have various different booths that you would normally have at kind of any type of, tech convention. You could do any of those specific things. But what wrestling offers too is you could have some really cool things. So for example, you could have, I'm just throwing things out there. Hive Pizza replays from Hive Pizza. So all the replays, they have the replay sponsored by Kit Kat or whatever. You would have the replays that are sponsored by various projects You could have the post-show, pre-show, all sponsored by specific projects. You could have matches brought to you by. You could have call-outs throughout commentary, visual aids on screen, visual aids in the building or on the ring. All of these things are possible. I mean, if you really think about it, just think about an image that you've ever seen in any wrestling show. You have all the barricades, you have the walls, you have the ring posts, you have the turnbuckles, you have the canvas, there's so much spacing visually. And then also for promos, now do we have them standing in front of a backdrop giving promos? Do you have promos at specific places? And then that's where you can kind of get into kind of the local businesses too, because this event is going to be as much a local event as it is a Web3 event, an online event. With this, you could bring in different businesses. You can have after parties at certain bars or restaurants. The only way to get into these VIP events is paying with HBD, and we could be the middleman that if you wanted to add some HBD back onto that refillable NFC card, boom, easy, let's go. And so you could have both of those.
So yeah, and anybody who knows about events like this knows the money's not in the tickets; it's in the snacks. It's in the $21 for the 3 chicken tenders and a Sprite. So this is interesting because obviously we'll give you're suggesting we give some amount of HBD, but of course the people may want to buy more popcorn, and so there'll be some money cycled back into that, probably through the concessions, the booths, the other after parties. I really like this, and I imagine the free tier of entrance is not going to be the front row seats, right? So some VIPs might pay a little extra to get Perry Saturn's sweat splashed across them, right?
Yeah, that is true. You'll have various other things you can set up because again, you'd be promoting this. So hey, get in early, get your seats, pre-order here, and that's any of those things that you get before the event, you're actually better off. So any of those people that sign up early, you have more time to let them know what's going on chain, get them to maybe add more funds, HBD wise. Those are all a benefit once we get them early, especially because the people you get on the day, you will be able to educate, but the ones that you get early, you have that much more time.
Okay, and here's another thing. I mean, you've got some pretty cool partners. One thing, my dream is that like I would get Perry Saturn to beat me over the head with a moppy, with like a moppy mop, and so I'm just imagining this YouTube short for my channel, like I'm this fan and I come and I got the moppy and Perry Saturn's is just like tired of the moppy and he just beats me over the head with it, and that would be something like that, a promotional video. Do you think there would be like chances for fans to like create their social media content like that, and perhaps I would pay to do that and maybe split it with the event and with the wrestlers themselves, something like that?
I mean, there's always so many things that are open, not only just that though too, but I kind of skimmed by this earlier and I want to swing back to it. And you said you saw it kind of in action, Distriator. And if we get people onboarded, we get them spending HBD, they can now take a selfie, put up a nice little post and start earning off of it too. And there's a lot that we can do with this, not just on chain, like kind of what you're suggesting there too. Fan interactions with the wrestlers. Yes, we will have that. We'll have various tiers that you can get. But again, the big thing is getting as many people in the door as humanly possible and get them all using HBD. There is huge value in that. And the amount of money that we would really be asking for, isn't like a crazy amount of money. We're talking like, $40,000-$50,000 for an event that could fit, 2,000, 3,000 people in it. Potentially, that's great.
This idea. Okay. So tell us about the proposal itself. Those of us who are on Hive, who do have stake in the system, what can we expect? When can we expect it? When can we click your link, Booker?
So, because we're adding the value plan as the recipients, I just have a few things I want to do before I finish it up. But we'll have with the proposal, we actually went through Block Trades was kind enough to send me a link to basically example draft template proposal, which I'm actually going to share in chat because I found this incredibly valuable. So let me put that in chat there. But we actually drafted our proposal with all that stuff in mind. So we have our costs there right up front, accounting for everything. And this is another thing that we've seen a lot of, feedback on not having enough transparency and people not knowing where funds go. So every single thing that we pay for, we'll have receipts, and we will be posting those receipts on chain. If we have to redact a name or whatever, cool. You're still going to get all the information. You know what I mean? Like, some people won't even do any type of receipts. We're going to put up the receipts on how much we spend on all the various different things. And we will be doing reports anytime. I want to say we were going to be doing every week, if anything was spent that week, this is what it was all spent on, and giving it a whole post for it. The venue that we've been looking at will hold about 2,000 people. And the venue is actually incredibly cheap comparative. It could be a lot more in a lot different areas. So all changes.
Be careful, Booker, man. We want to say inexpensive because we don't want a cheap event. We want an inexpensive event.
I think it's a great deal. When I look at the venue and I'm seeing that they're going to charge me for the whole thing like $2,000-$2,500, like that's great. That's and I get pipe and drape, and I get staging, and I get a concession area, and I get a bar. Oh, that's phenomenal. I'm very stoked.
2,000 person event. That is real. I mean, what was that? $1 a person and all those things. So that's exactly right. That's the stuff we want to look for. Value for money. And then the rest of that budget can be spent putting on a really good show. And so now going through this draft template, also one of the important things that I learned is that people want you to be really specific about the goals you're trying to achieve. That way, later, it's easier to measure them. When I look at this idea, I see kind of 2 or 3 goals. One is the 2,000 people that show up, right? There might be some movement in their hearts there. 2 is the content. And 3 would be like the proof of concept, just to get 2,000 people in one space doing this and looking later at what that looked like
all
on the
filmed
chain.
By the way.
What's that?
All filmed, all 2,000, like that whole thing where they're getting the cards and spending it, that would be filmed for content for later also.
It almost seems like infinity content in some ways. But finally, there's going to be some on-chain event. I don't know if 2,000 people have all tried to buy sodas with HBD at one time before. I don't know that that's ever happened. So there's going to also be kind of this proof of concept on a technical level. So I don't know, of those 3, which do you think are the most important deliverables? Is it that infinity content that we can all use Hive Echo and edit all this content together for months and years to come?
I love that. I think that's a huge benefit. I think in my head the most important is the technical actually doing it. Like actually having, $10,000 be transacted from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. You know what I mean? Like having that all run through that is huge. Getting people actually doing it, actually buy real people actually buying real things with real internet money. Like that is I think that is one of the biggest things. The evergreen content is phenomenal, but actually doing it is huge. And by it, I mean spending HBD, becoming a Hivian through your transaction. Because that going back to what I was saying before, there's so many different angles to being a Hivian. You might just spend, you might actually create content. You might not blog at all, but you like to get in the comments and write in the comments. You don't like to blog at all, but you like to actually curate and throw a little bit of money in and have some HP and curate that way. There's so many. You might just want to play games. You might not even care about anything else other than playing a couple of games, and that's all okay.
It's quite similar to wrestling, in fact, because, well, someone like me might love to get up in the ring and get slapped around a little bit. A lot of wrestling fans would just prefer to sit on the sidelines and watch, and that's okay. So I think I think it's the perfect brand. It's the perfect theater. It's the perfect idea to integrate with Hive and show the win-win for both. Now, just touching back on your social objectives, will any part of this kind of go back into Woo to help support the wrestlers? Will there be participating wrestlers? Will you be inviting maybe even more than just your current partners to participate and perhaps touch and deepen on your ability to help wrestlers who have kind of been discarded by the current system?
Yeah, this will go back to benefit not only the partners that we have already, but this furthers our reach into more independent wrestlers, which is great because we don't always get to be there. That's always some place we want to grow and be. This also gives us a proof of concept for an actual like live wrestling show. And don't get me wrong, if money's coming in through concession stands, for example, say wrestling organization online makes some money through selling merchandise or concessions or any of that, those will be business funds, and we will pay out to our partners accordingly, exactly how we've always have, but also getting people going back to that whole thing of some people we might only have transact HBD. Some other people might actually take the selfie and actually make the post. Some other people off of that might actually, now that they've already made a post, they've already made a purchase, they might now want to come check out, oh, you got a wrestling game too? Here, let me check that out. So you're going to get a drip out of the 2,000 plus people you bring. You'll get a drip that will be involved in various levels. And so it's a win-win-win-win in all regards. In my estimation, we will be telling them about how they can blog, how they can have more actions on chain. Some people will want it, some people won't, but ultimately they'll have that information. They'll be able to make that decision.
Bookerman, I am completely and incredibly impressed. Thank you so much for coming on the Deep Web3 Secrets. We're kind of winding down here. I want to know, is there any last things that you want to make sure people who are still listening, what should they know? I won't ask you for links, but, where should they go? And I'll share your Twitter here while you respond to that.
Yeah, I mean, check us out on Twitter. Check us out in our Discord, discord.gg/woogame. Also, check us out on Hive, Rest.org online. That's where you can find most of the content and information. But yeah, the biggest thing is I want everyone to know we're still here. We're building. We're doing things. We're here for the chain also, not just us. We're all in this boat together. We all rise up together. I want to thank the team, most importantly, all the people that are a part of it that actually make these things happen. I know Dare Sebi Sebastian is here listening in, so he's been a great help, amazing help. So all the team, Dom the Sun artist, one of my favorite people I've ever met, and he was an artist we found on Fiverr that we've gotten on chain, and we've done some great work with. So the entire team, I just want to say thank you again to our great partners that we've had over the few years we've been getting up on our feet and running. Those partners are great, and we're here. We're not going anywhere. We're here to build on Hive, not only cool things like Wrestling Organization Online, but to bring value, use us as a sales point to show people what Hive can do.
Fantastic, Bookerman. And as we get closer, I'd love to have you back on the podcast, maybe go deeper into some of these aspects. But it sounds like you have a multifaceted plan to connect and benefit all types of participants in the real world and in the digital world. And I just want to thank you, Booker. Thank you for having such a good idea. And thanks for sticking around and building it out with us.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks so much. I'll hang out for the after party where we can all talk crap about I don't know, who should I pick out? Vaultec. I'm gonna bully Vaultec here.
Well, that is the invitation to shut off the recording. Once again, after Deep Web3 Secrets, we have an open mic session, but that's not for you, YouTube listener. Join our Hive Discord, a decentralized community of decentralized communities, if you want to get involved. And thank you once again to Bookerman. This has been Deep Web3 Secrets.